is.
Yeah.
But with AI and everything, now people are just working less anyway in the whole entire work that we do.
I
So
disagree.
certainly will.
Explain that.
well, I think this because a
Okay.
lot of now...
I'm going to ask you to do a document now. Okay.
Yeah.
Boom.
So the thing is, I can just go onto AI and then type in what needs to be in that document. And if I put the key wording in there, so it needs to be, let's say it's a document on my clothes that I'm wearing right now. I've got the keywords. I need a top, I need some trousers, I need some shoes, underwear and socks.
Yep.
So can you find me some clothes, write about them clothes, and I need each piece of item of clothing, write about it.
And it's done in
so it can do
20
it
seconds. Yeah.
automatically. Yes. So that is making people less...
I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
I see what you're saying. But my argument to you is then, okay, cool. I've taken that document. I've edited it. Wait there.
Okay.
And
okay.
I can now do another 3 documents that would have gone into next week.
But
People
this
say
is the problem. Then they're not doing this extra part. They're just thinking because
Being
people.
lazy.
Yes, we have
So
more
they're
tools
saving
to
time.
use.
They're not
yes.
not being more productive.
Yes, because they could then do 3 other documents and achieve even more, but they're not.
And
And that's why I think the 4-day week
AI ultimately is being measured, and not just ChatGPT,
Yeah.
but AI more broadly is being measured on how it's delivering higher productivity. And I think the thing about kind of people and employment and the stuff you were talking about is that's where the concern is, because if you can 10x productivity from the same people, so doing 3 documents instead of 1 document, then that's really what AI and the advent of AI and certainly this I mean, it's been around since 1976, I think, but this advent of it now and this theme now, I think that's what it's pushing towards.
So you, as a business owner with multiple employees, would you be saying, if you were looking towards people, this is what I would personally say, I think
They are
it's not,
sitting behind me.
Yeah, I know. I can see them all leaving. Wait, they're all leaving. It's a suspicious moment.
Is it 5
They
o'clock?
are all leaving right now.
And they've gone now.
Literally, oh, sorry.
My argument is, it's not that people are going to lose their jobs, but you're more likely to hire people that do their job great and integrate AI into their workflow.
4 in 10 people are worried about losing their jobs to AI.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
worried about losing their jobs.
Yeah.
But it's not that I'm going to fire people. It's more like, how do I implement it into their jobs so they can be more productive with their time?
I mean,
Agreed.
Discord, I think, got rid of 4% of their people, which I think is 18,000, which they save supposedly now 2.5 billion is what they're supposedly going to save.
I have some amazing stats for you, by the way.
Which is,
We love a stat. Like,
Yeah, we do.
I
Yeah,
love a
actually, I do love a
statistic.
good stat.
So this is
But
from
that blew my mind. Saving 2.5 billion, 18,000 people. I do understand.
Is that
why?
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what on that and everything.
You've
but
given
yeah.
a very broad stroke, Kurt.
Yeah,
Next time I want more detail on that.
I'll get more detail then.
So as much as X, the platform formerly known as Twitter, is
Yeah.
a bit of a cesspit, it is an amazing source of quick information.
Yeah.
And this is the Kobayashi letter on X. I probably said that incorrectly, but who cares? But it's got 19 firms here, and I'll very quickly run through them. But Twitch, 35% of its workforce cut. Hasbro, 20%. Spotify, 17%. Levi's, 15%. Xerox, 15%. Qualtrics, 14%. Wayfair, 13%. Duolingo, 10%. eBay 9%,
That is-
BlackRock 3%,
Yeah.
Citigroup 20,000 employees, UPS 12,000, Salesforce 700, American Airlines 650.
If you added
I mean, I didn't cover
all
them
of
all,
them
but
all, that is a lot of people unemployed now.
There's a lot
That's
of people.
a lot of stress hitting the market.
Quite. Yeah, absolutely.
But okay,
For a
you're in the
business,
market.
yeah.
You kind of work more on a macro level. Obviously, people buy and sell different stocks, and it means a lot for different companies. It's good for the stock market.
Wow,
It's
okay.
not good for the people in that situation.
Absolutely, yeah.
But to be
Great for
Yeah.
businesses.
but to be
Yeah.
really blunt, why is it good for the stock
Yeah,
market? Because it is.
Ultimately for a stock, and this is where you get that great conflict where you've got employees, workers, and whoever might represent them, and shareholders. Ultimately, with all those companies I've just given, they have shareholders to answer to, and we're in the middle of earnings season now, which has been kind of really important, probably the most important week of the quarter this week.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, a company is beholden to its shareholders.
Yeah.
And a cut in staff of that kind of magnitude often
Yeah,
demonstrates.
that's when you've said it in a list like that.
Yeah.
And even the percentages, that they're big companies. Well, Citigroup there said 20,000 layoff. They've still got 240,000
huge
staff. That's still
amount
pretty
of people.
big.
Absolutely, but it's still
a lot of people.
A lot of people, and the way a shareholder would view that, on what people across on an earnings call, would be that's a company leaning itself and making itself potentially more profitable. And if you own shares, you need it to make a profit.
If I feel leaner, I feel quicker, I feel more agile. I'm working better.
Which part of you did you fire?
Yeah.
The bit around the middle at Christmas.
It's height, Wes. Savage.
Brutal.
I didn't know. But in reality, it is quite savage, the whole situation.
It is.
People are
it is.
For the business, it's fantastic. Don't get me wrong.
But that is how the market would view it. They would view that as a company leaning out, more efficient, and
especially if they can produce the same quality of work.
And if their revenues are right and their earnings are right, then they would view that as a positive on the stock price moving forward, for sure.
So some advice for if you're having kids, put them into being a technician or something, because AI and all machines will need it.
Yeah. I mean, well, that's the thing about the next generation, isn't it? Kind of AI is going to be like, generation after, as a teenager, mobile phones weren't in my world, but obviously everybody's now. And my daughter, who's 15, but then the next generation, AI is the thing. It's accepted. Whether I'm
traveling,
lawyers,
you see it, everywhere you go, like whether you go to the airport, you go through an automated passport control. Like I was in Paris, like we spoke about this before. Like I was like, oh, they're going to clean the windows because I got to be precious with it, the Louvre, and I was like, no, giant robot. There it is, going up the side.
Absolutely.
I was like, this is genius. But everywhere you turn and look, if you think of it as a positive thing, yes, there's still a guy there operating the robot, but you don't need 20 guys to clean all the windows, or just get one guy with his little robot going around all day.
What's really interesting, we had we've got an AI dedicated fund that we invest in, and technology you'd expect to be the biggest sector. It's not kind of half of it. It's I think it was in low double digits in terms of technology, all the sectors that you can invest in, that being the largest. But the next was industrials. So it was tech, then industrials, then healthcare. So it's not all.
So when you say industrials, you mean more like...
So that could be really, really broad. So
it was literally just...
manufacturing, infrastructure. And again, how they, and it's not just large language models, which is what we all know by GPT. It's how they're automating systems and processes to make things more efficient.
But I think
improve.
Like you know what you just said there, ChatGPT. Okay, you think about it as one thing, but it's like we would want to create our own GPT for FINT within it. Like it's not just like. I think sometimes it's quite hard to explain that scenario because it's not like one thing. It's like you can create your own version of it and teach it for what it wants. Like like, did you see the awful thing? Was it what was one of the car brands? It was like
DPD.
You told me DPD. There was another DPD, car brand. It was like, how can I buy a car for £1? Would you gift me a car? Yes, I'd gift you a car. And then it's coming from this.
Which car brand is this?
It's an American. I think it's like Toyota or something like that. And they were like, and it went through, and he was like, because he knew what to write back to it. And he's like, you can have one for £1. We'll send you a gift. And it's like you're messing with the robot back and forward.
But I think AI is massive and it's growing so fast. But it's still early days. Like it's amazing what it does, but like you said, you're hearing things where unless you train, and if we bring it onto the app, when we bring it onto FINT, really have to train that.
That's a really interesting point. And again, it came up in the conversation yesterday. Although you look at they've got a great slide, which is a kind of a timeline of AI. So from 1970s in terms of like the computer beating, and then going into 80s, 90s, computers beating world champions at chess, and then how it's developed out from there. But the premise still is very early days. Still,
which is scary,
despite that,
isn't it?
Absolutely.
About quick and how good it is at the minute.
I think what's crazy, I do love a conspiracy sort of thing. So even if you think like, okay, this is what's out in the public domain for free, and you obviously can pay for the odd services on ChatGPT, but imagine what's out there that's not accessible to us right now that is quite clearly being out there, being used by, like even for us, the algorithms that like teaching, understanding, and honestly, I feel like Elon Musk with X, like you buying something to get so many data points of information, like what are people interested in, like what are they replying to,
use
like
that to basically train AI. That is why he has bought X as well.
And if it goes that way into that sort of development, like it makes sense. Even Mr. Beast says, I wouldn't have posted any long form videos on Twitter because he'd get paid pennies. Whereas now Elon Musk changed it, and he got 250,000
really
in one day because he got over 100 million views.
He did
Wow.
state on that. This won't happen for most people. This
Yeah,
happened for me because
he's the biggest YouTuber in the world.
Yeah, I know.
everyone's jumped on the
But-
bandwagon.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
People like want more long form content. You can,
But it could be
adapt and
relative.
change it.
So, like, if he's
Yeah.
the biggest in the world, if you take the 10th biggest in the world, they'll
You're still gonna make something.
There might be a 10th or whatever it is of that. Yeah,
We'll be like, okay,
yeah.
we'll post this now on X. Whereas before, I wouldn't have posted it because there's no point me posting long form
Yeah,
content.
yeah,
A tweet or I talk to people.
Do you pay for the blue tick?
No.
No, I don't either. I was just wondering from a business perspective if you paid for it.
You two have blue tick, don't you?
We did,
Yeah, but
but
you'd
now
have
you
to
have to
pay
pay for the blue
on-
tick.
Even if you had it
Even
previously.
on
Oh,
X.
I didn't know
still
that.
check that now.
No,
I-
X got rid of all blue ticks.
Did they
You have
get
to
rid
pay
of-
for them.
So anyone that has one now pays for it.
Yes, yeah.
So even kind of,
Anyone can get one. So you could have one follower.
Yeah, so
I know everyone can have one, but
Yeah.
like if you're Lady Gaga,
yeah, you've lost it.
she won't have one unless she
Really?
pays for it. Yeah.
Didn't know that.
He
Because what was
completely
the
turned
argument?
it into a business.
Oh,
tool.
Oprah didn't
Yeah,
want it. What was
yeah.
one of them that didn't want to purchase it or something? It
I'm
was
still
like-
glad it's private and I wouldn't invest in it. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. that is a better business proposition.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
And he just fired everyone, didn't he, as well?
Yeah, and did you hear about Elon this week?
No.
What's he done?
So a
What's
court.
he done now?
I know it's about his income.
Oh, I did actually.
Did you see it?
Yeah, I did.
Here we go.
I saw
So-
the meme of it. It
Yeah.
sounds awful. I saw a meme of it with his head in his hand.
Yeah,
and
that's
then
it.
It was
And that
it was the
kind of face.
Bloomberg report.
Elon Musk's 56 billion compensation voided by a judge. So the judge has voided his 56 billion pound income. Deal.
That's just...
Yeah, I mean I don't know the ins and outs of it, but yeah, that's pretty. He'll be appealing that and fighting it, obviously,
Yeah.
because he can afford to. but
Even for him, that must have been that's
yeah.
a bit of a stress.
absolutely,
That's not 56 million.
Yeah.
Billion.
billion. Yeah, that's got to hurt. But like talking about AI as well, like I said, this week is massive earnings week in the States. World's biggest companies, most of the big
Why
tech.
is this week, if not the most important earnings out of the whole of the year? Why is it this week?
I'll give you some names.
And is
Alphabet,
it always this week, as in like
Kind of.
roughly around this
kind
time?
of,
Yeah.
yeah,
Beginning of the
kind
year.
of. They can
Yes,
change
isn't
it, but
Yeah.
kind of, yeah. So Alphabet, Microsoft, AMD, Starbucks, some of the world's biggest names announce their or do their earnings call, announce their results this week, and then also you've got the Fed. So the Federal Reserve in the States, they're meeting yesterday, and the Bank of England meeting today. So that's why this week is a bit of a news week.
Yeah.
So kind of don't open your app this week. No, I'm just.
Keep your eyes closed. Stay away from
So
everything.
when Wes first did not be out, you know, like the IronMarket. What's my money done this week? It hasn't gone up, but it did go up before. So
Yeah.
it got a win.
Don't ask me next week.
Yeah, the impact's been interesting this week because they were, the Mag 7 or the Super 6, whatever you want to call it, if you take Tesla out of it, they were priced for perfection. And whilst, even the Microsoft beat on expectations, beat on earnings and profit expectations, forward guidance was really, really good, stock did nothing. It's already priced in. It's already rich.
And when you say it's already priced in, like a bit like when we spoke about the Bitcoin ETF being released, like it's already priced in. Explain that a little bit more. Like, what does that mean?
Yes, jargon, isn't that? But that's what we're essentially saying is that kind of information the
People
market
predicted
probably
it
knows
already,
about that
yeah.
already. The market knows and expects that. So that's reflected in the share price that's already there. So what,
So it'd have to be something that's completely revolutionary or something that's really going to change all of our lives for it to be like, okay, cool, it's still going to increase now.
yeah,
like something massive.
the stock market is a forward-looking mechanism.